to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. Roll call. Commissioners Fawcett, Kaiser, Bubel, Ward, and myself are all present.
And our new council.
And our new council.
We're playing attorney.
Come on down, yeah. All right. Any additions? I do have something to add. I was not present the last one. Apologies on that. Somebody from the St. Helens High School came here and inquired about a trap shooting team. So I'll add that on there. And I just wanted to speak a little bit on that. I can do that now, or I can wait.
Public comment, you have 2 minutes.
Right. So I can just now, if that's fine. So this is kind of a pretty big deal. A lot of schools do it. I don't know, it's kind of, I don't know how well publicized it is, but it's an Olympic sport. And if there's some way we can accommodate the high school, I think it'd be great. I know there'll be a lot of hoops to jump through, certainly, to look at and stuff to make sure we're protected there. And obviously there'd be, that would be foremost, right, for the port to make sure that there's no liability there. But Rainier currently has one. Scappoose, I believe, has one. We do not. Safety would obviously be paramount, something like this. But it is a pretty popular thing, and it is growing. So Yamhill, Carl, all these places you generally have one, and it's a pretty fun thing for the kids. And
Rainier has it.
Rainier has one. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've donated money to that one. Absolutely. So I just wanted to add that on there and see what the possibilities are. And I know it's the very beginnings of it. Is there any comment to add on that from any commissioners or?
No, that's the big concern, liability.
Right. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, I just want to understand that. I'm assuming there's liability in most everything we do.
Sure. Right.
Kind of assessing the risk. I think it's a worthwhile thing to check out. It's an inclusive sport, teaches really good safety and that sort of thing. Somebody's disabled or can't walk, they can still participate. So I think that's pretty unique, and I think it'd be great to do it if we could, even temporarily, until they find another home.
Great.
As the Columbia County Chair of the Friends of the NRA, I would offer that I sit on the board that helps do the grant awards each year, and they're looking for opportunities like that to help get these programs off the ground. So
Thank you. Appreciate it.
they meet in January next year, but they could get on the agenda for sure.
So to any of your knowledge, has there ever been an accident
Not to mind.
related to any of these?
Locally, I'm not aware of anything.
There, and for, if you're not kind of aware how some of them work, they're pretty safe environments. Like they have, there's a lot of protocol involved, and I do understand the concern. And obviously we could reach back out to Tyler Ross. He's the one that's was the gentleman that was here last time, and inquire and see what kind of legwork he has done on it and what kind of liability waivers are involved. And we could reach out certainly to the Rainier Gun Club and make sure and do some inquiry there. So,
Do you know where Rainier and Scappoose are currently, the teams are shooting?
yeah, so Rainier actually has a gun club up there. That's where they work at. They're right across the street from the high school.
Rod and Gun Club?
The Rod and Gun Club, that's the one, you know.
Of course, there.
Yes, exactly. They do the 100 safety courses there. Scappoose, I'm not sure. I've only heard about it third hand, and I believe it's somewhere private. So I'm not exactly for certain on that. I could try to dig for information. I'd only heard about that third hand. So
I'll talk to Tyler.
and most surrounding areas in Hillsborough and outside, they all have gun clubs. So I'm certain that's where they place. So, and I won't beat that up anymore unless somebody else has any more comment on it.
Any way I can help them, no.
All right, great. Where's our public comment on here? I don't see it. Am I missing it? There it is.
We're going to take that.
Oh, yep. Yeah. Oh, also, we are going to remove under old business. We're going to remove the camp host line item there, and we're going to wait to address that later. So I just want to remove that off the agenda now. Next item up is the consent agenda.
I would move approval of consent agenda item A.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, great. Public comment. All right, Senator, come on up.
Thank you very much, Commissioners. I hope you would extend me a little courtesy as a former member of this august commission and once upon a time the chair, a former state senator, and here on behalf of a number of other people. Let me start, if I may, by suggesting that there is a wonderful gun range just down the road. It was put in by Knife River and the county. Tony Hyde knows more about it than any other person. I've been down there and shot once when it was first inaugurated. It hasn't been used for an awfully long time, but it was an FBI quality gun range. It would need a little research to get it going again.
Appreciate that. Just a quick, not to interrupt. Is it that down at the Morse Brothers pit or up here?
It's right next to Dynamo.
Oh, excellent. Thank you.
They weren't using it. That's terrible.
They haven't used it for a long time, but it was a very high quality.
Thank you for that. We'll follow up with that.
Okay, so the purpose for which I am here, ever since 1977, I've been at the airport in one capacity or another. We were responsible for putting in the first gates, the first runway lights at our own expense. We were at the tip of the arrow on the great gravel wars that preserved 300 acres, now site prepared for economic development. We helped with the recruitment of a French aerospace company. And at the end, when they decided to stay in France, Scaphouse International Airport was the only American site left standing. So I would submit to you, we also have helped one of your other clients out at the airport with a discount on fuel. So for 50 years almost, we've been pretty good partners. It doesn't feel that way now. There have been a number of issues at the airport, and it seems like most Mondays the phone rings and it's somebody asking us us being Transwestern, what the hell's going on? Trust seems to be at a particularly low point with the angst of the runway closure that is going to put some businesses out of business. The flow of information has been inadequate at best, in my opinion, and that opinion is shared by others at the airport. Input has been given and not listened to or acted upon. Customer service seems particularly troubled right now. I can tell you that when Oregon Aero was in its deepest financial problem, that CET worked out the solution that brought them current with you guys and hopefully back on track with technical assistance. Phone calls don't seem to get returned. We have more regulation than advocacy. Things at the airport feel adversarial rather than partner-like. One of the action items that I'm bringing you today is a request signed by everybody but Noah at Intercept, because he and I have just not been in the same place at the same time. He may be on the, I see him. Noah and I talked about this letter yesterday, and he knows what the contents are, but he hasn't seen a copy, nor has he signed it. It is a request that you all are able to provide for the airport a much more detailed expense and income statement that is disaggregated so that it can be read in a way that actually shows what's going on financially at the airport. One of the questions that has arisen for quite a long time, but was brought to a head with the possibility of the runway being closed, is how maintenance costs are described. What nobody seems to know is, do you have a pool of maintenance costs that are just divided across your enterprise activities? Or can you actually track the maintenance that occurs, say, in Port Westward or at the Marina or at the airport? Rather than just a proportional share. And so we all are respectfully asking, and I would have Noah speak for himself if he's willing to do so. We are just respectfully asking that this disaggregated financial be made available. And so I'll leave this with you, absent Noah's signature. Thanks.
If
Sure.
you want him to
Sure.
comment,
If
or is that
anyone's willing to weigh in,
unless you have more to add?
I may reserve the right to speak after Noah.
Sure, that's fine. Noah, since we're on the topic right now, we'll let you go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like Betsy's basically asking,
You're muted.
Yeah,
Muted.
yeah, he's still muted.
can you hear me?
Nope.
Hello?
Bear with us here a minute, Noah.
Now he's muted again.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear us, Noah?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
He can hear us, but we cannot hear him.
You,
Do we ask Bob if he can try to talk so we can see if it's a speaker issue?
Hey, Bob, can you hear us?
Okay, I have now unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yeah, he can't.
I'm talking right now.
can you hear us?
I can hear you guys. Can you hear me? Hello?
That's if I want him. He's unmuted.
Hello?
Oh. Okay, so it's something in here.
Is that working? Can you hear me?
We may have to let you finish, Senator,
Yeah, I'm
and
fine
get this
with that.
figured out. I apologize.
Let's just leave it. I'll get hooked up with Noah and he can have a copy of the letter. We discussed it in principle yesterday and he said he was going to be on the Zoom this morning.
Understood.
But this obviously isn't working out. I guess a couple of other specific requests are, there is a lot of confusion about what's going to happen to tenants at the airport during the shutdown. Whether rent will be abated, whether other payments will be made. In some cases, businesses are going to be completely closed, but we'll still incur costs. I'll give you an example. We can't walk away from pumping fuel. Someone may come in fuel critical. And so there will be staff there to accommodate a fuel critical that maybe doesn't know that the airport is closed. And could land on a taxiway or whatever accommodation in an emergency. Mr. Vanek has written a couple of times. I have a copy of his letter that says no one has answered me, asking what accommodation can be made for him to test blades on the ramp. And again, I'm not privy to whether or not there's been any conversation to ameliorate his concerns. Rather than shutting him down completely, if some accommodation can be made so that he can run up and balance blades, that might preserve a little of his business. And as you all know, he struggled financially as well. I guess what I'm looking for from the commission is, rather than this friction between the port and the airport, to try to figure out a way to bring it back into a true partnership where we're all working together for the betterment of the airport, the recruitment of other customers there, and the opportunity for businesses to thrive during what's going to be a very, very difficult summer. And so that would really pretty much conclude my comments. I think that there need to be clear and objective standards for what is going to happen to all of the different businesses. They have certainly different rates of payment that they're making to you, and they have different rates and opportunity for income. And so to have some coherent, objective plan for how you're going to deal with those businesses that are severely impacted would be most welcome. Right now, there's just a lot of speculation in the absence of good information, and people are really in a tizzy about it. Hangar owners being asked whether or not they fly. I'm not sure that that's germane. They rented a hangar with expectation of access to the airport. I don't know how that's going to be treated because I haven't been party to any of those conversations, but we certainly are getting the questions. And so to have some objective methodology would be extremely helpful. I know that Lacey has sent out a questionnaire about what are you planning to do during a shutdown that includes the opportunity to drive an hour and a half to Astoria, where tie downs would be available at some expense. But again, the paucity of information and the episodic dispersal of that information is causing an enormous amount of anxiety. So those would be my comments this morning. Respectfully trying to figure out a methodology to get back to yes, to get back to partnership, and to get back to us all working together for the betterment of the airport and the port. Thank you.
Thank you. Public comment?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Good morning.
Morning.
We were trying to send the slides over, but might be a server issue. So I think Kara's going to share her screen.
I'm going to try to connect to the TV. Oh, wait, there's the slides.
Oh,
Oh,
awesome.
Just FYI, this will appear internally, not over the Zoom with the way that she has it right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Sorry, folks on Zoom, you won't be able to see the presentation.
morning. Do you want to start? You want me to
Yeah.
start?
Well, you start.
I don't know you. Hi,
Yes.
good morning. My name is Kara Toronto, and I'm the president and executive director of the Oregon Entrepreneurs Network. And thank you to Commissioner Ward for asking us to come over and talk about this, because in the last 6 weeks, we've also taken over the contract for the Northwest Innovation Hub. And I have a feeling that many of you are not familiar with what we do as an organization or the connection. And so we thought it'd be nice if we could take a few minutes and give you a little bit of history on our organization and how we help entrepreneurs and how that is going to tie in to the Northwest Innovation Hub and supporting the 3 county areas up here that the Northwest Innovation Hub covers. So if we can go on to the next slide. Our organization has been around for 35 years, and I'll do a quick history. I've got like one slide about it, but we envision a robust, diverse, and collaborative entrepreneurial economy. We know that entrepreneurship is a means to wealth generation for families and great for communities. And we have spent the last 35 years strengthening Oregon and Southwest Washington's early stage entrepreneurs through education, guidance, connections, and access to financial opportunities so that we can increase economic impact throughout the region. Next slide. We worked on our core values in the last 5 years to really expand it to everyone is invited. And I think the important part of that has been a geographic outreach where we now are able to work through a partner or directly with founders in every single county in Oregon, which we're really proud of. We know that our network is an extension of all the people that we bring together, and that we have embraced a lot of change. For instance, staying online even when the technology is not perfect. So every single one of our education classes is available statewide. Next slide, please. So we were founded in 1991 as the Entrepreneurship Enterprise Forum. Our key event that we do is an Entrepreneurship Awards Dinner. We actually had, I think, an Astoria company that was a finalist last year, which is really exciting. We launched the state's first venture conference, and all of that is really important. So from 95 on, where it talks a lot about the angel programs, it's because we've thought a lot about capital and how to connect it to founders. That is not debt financing, banks, grants, and venture is such a big, hairy world that how do you get capital locally within the state to invest in the local economy? And so we've done a lot of that work for the last 20 years. And that's really our key marquee signature program, is addressing both the capital side and the founder side and teaching them both together. About 4 years ago, I guess 5 years now, we aligned directly with Business Oregon's traded sector strategy. So we really focus on the industries that Business Oregon has set up as traded sector outside of advanced manufacturing, because there's a lot of resources for that, which we partner with, including OMIC, and then mass timber and wood product, but we are actually seeing some momentum in that area. So then outside of that, we're looking at technology, food and beverage, life and bioscience, and some retail and larger CPG support around the state. And then really important to our story is in 2025, we became the organization that coordinates all of the innovation hubs statewide, so all 10. So next slide. It was never our intention to have an innovation hub within our footprint, but that is not what happened this year. So we've worked with almost 8,000 companies over those 35 years, 5,300 founders have received training through us. We can assume we've created close to 72 to 75,000 jobs, and we have trained over 700 angel investors in the community that's actually started almost all of the investment funds that you see in the state today, including the Ben Venture Conference. Last year, we did 93 events statewide somehow with a team of 3. I'm not sure how we did that. Those do include the online events, that some days we were doing multiple events at multiple times. And then we have previous statewide experience. We ran a program for many years with the Oregon Community Foundation called the Venture Catalyst Program, which had folks seated in different cities around the state to help entrepreneurs think about growth, taking on outside capital for a faster growth trajectory. So next slide. This is our signature program. Didn't spell that right. Signature, did I? I think I did. I'm like, wow, that doesn't really look right. But that's okay. It's been a wild week. So these are our programs that we do. They're running right now. We have 71 companies as of yesterday going through our first cohort around tech, CPG, life sciences. And this is really everything. We've seen a life sciences company from the coast that's created a spray to address wound care, all the way to a company in Ontario, Oregon, that is thinking about how you take hemp fibers and compress that into wood product. And so when a company comes to us and says, well, I don't really fit neatly into one of those industry sectors, we say, try us. And so we're able to really support a robust amount of businesses around the state. And then our next slide. So this is what we do in this Angel Oregon program. I feel like it's important to talk about. It is 50% of how we spend our education time. So founders get an understanding of the funding stack and various ways to access that capital. They understand what it's like to meet with investors and go through due diligence, and they understand how to put evaluation and a cap table together so they can raise money in a thoughtful way. They get tons of pitch practice. They get pitch coaching, and we think a pitch is vital because you don't just need it for investors, you need it for employees, you potentially need it for banks, you need it to sell your products. And then we have industry-specific workshops that we collaborate with partners around the state on. And then anyone that is interested gets to start meeting our angel network. And we don't control every investment deal. That would be impossible, but it has been an interesting way to see local folks investing in local companies just within sort of the ecosystem. And then we have funding where we can provide legal and financial technical assistance through our law and accounting partners. And then every year we invest about $500,000 directly into companies of funding that we raise from local investors. So next slide. So in 21 years, we've made 34 investments, and that's $5.6 million directly into companies, and that's capital that we've raised. I cannot tell you the number of investors that have said, I love that company, let me invest in it right now. They often do it right in the middle of one of my events when it is not in the script. It is very confusing. All of our folks get a ton of earned media, and last year we had 108 companies go through. Founder diversity was 60%, and of those 108 companies, I think 32% of them came from rural communities. And as of yesterday, we had 71 companies participate in our spring cohort of this program, and I saw lots of companies from around the state. So we don't know what's happening right now because we are not in that meeting, but those are our program impacts. And you can go to the next slide. I'll just say as I finish that previous slide, that's what makes OEN sort of the voice of innovation and entrepreneurship in the state, is how many years we've done this work with this wide variety of innovative companies. So the other things that we do pub talks. They used to take place in a bar. Now they take place somewhere that lets us bring in our own beer. But it's a networking opportunity where founders can learn from really successful founders how to follow that path. We do entrepreneur mixers to provide a space for business owners to just network without being sold to. We have a monthly online pitch practice. And then we do Startup Business Essentials, which are online monthly business classes, and they're responsive training in nature. So an example of that would be last year as tariffs kept changing, we offered several programs so that businesses that were having to navigate tariffs could understand how to set up their cost models effectively. And then we do our awards, and we're hosting a pub talk in Astoria next week, which we're really excited about. It'll be our first one in Clatsop County, I think, ever. And I think that's all for the basis of OEN. So maybe the next slide would be, oh no, last thing, this is what we do. Our technical assistance, we provide an expanded statewide network, navigation to additional resources, introductions within the network, and then a lot of social media promotion for our companies. We've got about 10,000 followers around the state. And I think I can't emphasize enough in the work that I've done and we've done as a team over the last 18 months, when you can meet a founder in Klamath Falls and connect them to a mentor in Portland, or you work with a founder in Boardman and you can connect them to an investor in the Bay Area. It's really exciting because it allows companies to grow where they are. And we think that place-based economic development is really important. And we don't want anyone to think they have to live in a big city, which is why we're really excited. Next slide. That we were able to coordinate with Jason and bring the Northwest Innovation Hub under our purview. And we do have to give a big nod to Business Oregon as I hand this over to Jason, because they were supportive. It was his idea initially, and Business Oregon thought that the work OEN had done in the last 2 years aligned well with this program. So, Jason.
Awesome. Thanks, Kara. Jason Moon, Columbia City resident. Good morning.
Good morning.
Next slide, please. So Kara did a really good job of teeing up why OEN was a really good fit for the hub. This foundational work started last year, where we applied through Business Oregon to bring the Innovation Hub to Columbia, Clatsop, and Tillamook counties. And through the partnership with OEN, who was, like the port, submitted a support letter for us to bring the hub here. Kudos to Business Oregon for getting creative and helping us move this over. So why the hub? We strengthen innovation-based businesses, traded sector entrepreneurship across the region. Again, Columbia, Clatsop, Tillamook counties. We serve innovation-based businesses. So it's very similar to the work that I was doing previously, just elevated for an elevated organization. So we're still offering direct support, one-on-one coaching resources. We'll have regional programming. So not only will we have programming here in Columbia County, but the 3 counties. And we'll be able to really lean into OEN's capital readiness programs, as Kara mentioned earlier. Next slide, please. So this is the work plan at a glance here. So again, we're continuing ecosystem coordination. We're offering that technical assistance. We have written into the grant programs micro grants to deliver co-branded events and trainings and outreach throughout the region. I'm really excited about the mentorship and what we're calling the Entrepreneur in Residence, EIR. So that is our ability to connect the entrepreneur with an EIR to help them through their growth strategy and develop their pitches, and then offer long-term mentorship, networking. There's a slide that'll show the amount of networking events that we're going to be offering to the region, and again, more access to capital than we've ever had before. Next slide, please. So here are some of our target metrics through this year and next. We'll be serving at least 60 clients. 30 founders will be mentored. We'll have 15 networking events. 6 partner convenings, 2 micro grant rounds. The slide looks a little funny there. And 10 capital focused events. Next slide, please.
Jason,
Yes.
quick, I really appreciate everything you're doing, and I gave Senator some time here. How much longer do you think it's gonna, I'm not trying to cut, I love everything you're
I
doing.
think there's 3 slides.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, I'm trying to be, yeah, thank you.
I appreciate it. So this is our timeline. I was hired in February. We launched the website this week. Official sort of launch is going to happen at the event in Astoria next week on the 11th. We'll hold our partner convenings and get to work here. Next slide, please. There's the port, one of many of our key regional partners. And if you have a founder, entrepreneur, innovator that you want to connect to the hub, they can contact me directly, and I'll ensure that everyone on the commission has my email address. So, thank you.
Thank
you all for the time.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
I'd like to know how the mentor program works. How do you find your mentors?
That's a great question.
Yeah, so OEN actually has one that's built and baked in already. So we're going to be leveraging her. But as we're boots on the ground throughout the region, especially in Clatsop and Tillamook counties, we're going to be identifying other mentors. So if there's a founder that doesn't necessarily want to work with someone that's based out of Portland or Columbia County, then they can work with someone that's in Clatsop or Tillamook County.
Cool. All right. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you all so much for
Thank you very much.
and letting us.
No, absolutely, absolutely.
Commissioner, Amy was communicating with, was that with
Noah,
Noah?
yeah. If you
And
want to give him another shot,
And
if it doesn't work,
Call in if it.
call. That's what I was thinking. Is that okay?
Absolutely. Noah, are you still on here?
I am. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, okay,
See if we
awesome.
can
Yeah.
hear you.
can't hear him, so.
Can you hear me?
Okay, so she was gonna pull him up on her cell phone.
Okay,
Okay. Call him.
so this will be dovetailing off Senator Johnson's comments here for anybody else that's listening in here.
I think he also had, well, I'll let him.
Thank you, guys.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, let me mute. Yeah, I don't have too much to add. I think all I would have to say is it sounds like Betsy's advocating for more granular accounting. So if that's kind of a goal, then I think I'm supportive of that. So
Thank you, Noah. And who are you with again there? Just so I'm clear.
Oh,
Intercept Aviation, we're at the Scappoose Airport.
Thank you.
Thanks, Noah.
Thank you. Also, anybody else online for public comment? I'm going to apologize in advance. We're having some technical difficulties. I don't know if they're able to call in or not. If anybody else is wanting to make comment, we'll see here. Not that we're going to be able to hear anybody, I guess, because so nobody's hands raised. Hearing no others, we're going to keep moving here. Old business, Marina update.
We had a Marina Advisory Committee meeting last night. It was mainly focused on the policies on the advisory committee. It's something that will be brought to the commission, I think, the last meeting of this month. Yeah. And so anyway, that will be available to the commissioners now, I think, as you wish, and will be talked about at that point.
Okay.
That was basically all it was. That was the most serious thing. Yeah.
Excellent.
It was a rather short meeting.
Okay, Miriam, is that pretty much, I had your name on, does that pretty much conclude that we're good there? Excellent, thank you.
I actually do have a question. I was reading Miriam's report and it sounded like we're having quite a few issues with people fishing in the marina still. I was curious, have we contacted law enforcement in those instances? Seems like repeat offenders.
Here, could you come up?
Actually, Elizabeth has been doing a lot of work on that. She's been able to answer her questions better. She's been having direct contact with law enforcement about that. But it looks like we may need to reach out to our legal counsel regarding our policy that we had in place originally. 2011, I think, was a resolution. So we have resolution and I believe an ordinance that talks about no fishing. Also, Department of State lands with our leasehold can give assistance if we need to pursue the no fishing rule. But at this point, law enforcement can't do much since we don't have a permanent rule for no fishing unless we engage with the next steps, and that's up to our executive director.
Okay, are these folks fishing in the navigation area that's causing issues?
There's several issues with the fishing that cause chaos down at the marina, especially when it gets busy. There's navigational hazards with tenants that are in boat slips that need to back out while you have other fishermen entering the marina area and hovering, dropping lines down. We have another issue where boats will stay outside the marina boundaries, cast inside the marina boundaries, where we have paddle sports, kayakers, we have people get hooked in the vest. We have hooks and lines left on the docks. And then those boat tenants that are paying for private moorage often gets lines casted over around their props and boat motors and denting their boats when they're tossed in. So in addition to that, when we try to give some guidance to fishermen, usually it's very abusive to our staff. And so now we're looking for guidance on the next steps of what we should do.
Are these tend to be repeat offenders or just
We have repeat offenders that will they'll pull up to our docks, whether inside the marina and outside the marina, and then hold on to our docks or tie off while they fish.
It's a YouTube video, actually.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting, combative.
It's very combative and people are.
Sturgeon. Yeah, I observed it. I was down there last Saturday to floating home, and on the upper end of it where the kayak launch is, and we actually spoke with Cody James about it. They're just anchoring right outside the DSL lease and then casting into it. Like right now, it's probably not a lot of kayakers, but here coming up soon, it will be a major issue. I agree. So, yeah.
I think the challenge is with our, the resolution 2011-47, and as you guys know, or 777 gives us some authorities to be able to make rules. With our DSL lease hold, we decided we didn't want fishing in the marina. So that's on 2011-47, that's what it says. People are challenging that because this is waters of the US. You can't do that. However, we have this leasehold with the Department of State that allows us to make rules upon which when we say no fishing, please, for all the reasons. And people still want to challenge based on you don't know the law kind of thing. So there's plenty of other places to fish, as we know, sadly. But I think it's for some folks, it might just be trying to make a point. It's like, you can't tell us what to do.
You can't tell me what to do.
So I guess it comes down to, and I know if Cody James could be heard, he has some scenarios as well that he's ran into with folks. I mean, if we decide that we want to just go ahead and allow it and repeal 2011-47 and just police folks and say, hey, would you please not, cast towards people's boats or people and try that route, or stick with our no fishing. We have signs up, and if we're going to allow it, then let's take the signs down.
Sounds like more legal research. I did want to, something I feel strongly about is that we still offer some sort of fishing opportunity, especially to kids in an area that doesn't. I know we said that up previously, that doesn't have as much impact, but it sounds like people are not fishing in those areas. They're fishing in the areas where there's.
Yeah, also there's people going on Larson's property, and that's not our property, and there's not a lot we can do about that. There's a multitude issues, and it's certainly from December to now when those sturgeon come in there. And then after that, there may be some, onlookers that go down there to fish off the bank, but that's the major issue there, certainly from what I've observed. It'll be interesting. I wouldn't think we would want port staff having to get in these arguments and then get, there's no type of enforcement other than they work for us and they could say, hey, you need to leave, but we're going to have to figure out a mechanism that is a little more, have a little more teeth to it to execute some of these things. So.
I was gonna say, would you have the authority to stand up our own police force? I'm not advocating for that.
There's a scenario where we can trespass people, as we do other parts of the RV park or marina providing park rules. We can have a trespass citation, and then law enforcement can react to that if we do that. But we haven't done it with the fishing because it's a very public, we have a lot of issues, and we would need upper management and commission support before we do that. So we haven't written any trespass citations for fishing off the docks and things like that yet.
So interestingly enough, I was thinking that the people I observed, and this could be different from day to day, obviously, but one of them was a guide. So he's probably going there a lot. And that would probably be one of your better avenues because they have to launch at our, there obviously. So to get their boat in the water. So that would probably be a pretty decent leverage is like, hey, you're not gonna be able to launch here anymore. We'll trespass you off the property. I hate to do that. Obviously, if it's somebody that's a repeat offender, that's not, we're not looking to do that if it's somebody that's a first time offender, didn't realize the rules. But if you have somebody in there, essentially telling you to fly a kite over and over again, we have no problem. So.
Well, thank you for
thank you.
The information.
Okay, no more on that one there. Airport update.
Good morning. Somewhere.
Right, the port will be hosting an open house on April 7th. I've shared this with you many times to share more information and details about the runway rehabilitation project. This open house is open to all, so I please encourage you to come and save the date. This is an opportunity for our users and stakeholders to gain a deeper understanding of the project, ask questions, and engage with the airport community. Thanks to the generosity of NOAA, Intercept. The event will be held at Intercept Aviation and it will begin at 5 p.m. Please save that date. Along with the open house, staff has continued the efforts to socialize the airport closure with email outreach. Through our website, we have a specific landing page for the runway rehabilitation project. Physical mailers have been sent to all of the tenants. There's been an online survey that we sent out Monday. We're just requesting information about what our T hangar tenants may or may not be up to. And continued conversations with regional partners. I will also be posting flyers around the property as well as continued community outreach. And I will also like to request that our advisory committee members and even our commissioners are sharing out this information as well in public meetings and letting the community know what is going on at our airport. I have also been to the SCEPU's Economic Development Committee, and I shared this information with them and throughout the community in different meetings that this closure will be happening. Any questions? Okay. Next slide. Our East Side Pavement Maintenance Project. The East Side Pavement Maintenance Project will repair both minor and major cracks on the taxiway Alpha, which is the east taxiway, apply slurry seal coat and install pavement markings on all the repaired surfaces. The total cost of this project is $245,000 with FAA funding $222,000. The port will publish an invitation to bid or ITB tomorrow on our website, Quest DSN, Daily Journal of Commerce, and Spotlight. And the project shall be completed in 14 days, no runway closures, and notice to proceed will likely be in August of 2026. I've mentioned this before. My goal is to align this work with our runway rehabilitation. So we'll have that project going on along with the pavement maintenance on the east side. At this point, following the completion of the runway rehabilitation and the east side pavement, we will have essentially new pavement on our runway taxiways, almost 90% done, which should last us about 20 years. Next slide. So as I mentioned, taxiway alpha, and those yellow lines will be the what is slurry crack filled and slurry sealed and new pavement markings. Next slide. And upcoming events. So Saturday, March 7th at 9 a.m. at Staff Bruce High School is the annual town meeting. We will be sharing information about the runway closure along with all the other great stuff that the board is up to. We have the history talk on March 19th at the Red Barn. We have our advisory committee meeting on March 30th and the runway rehabilitation open house on March 7th. So that's just some of the events that we will be sharing our runway closure with. Any questions?
So as part of the airport advisory, I'm aware of multiple communications that have happened over these months. I'm wondering if you can give us, at some point, give us a recap of all the communications we've had via email and your personal communications with tenants. If you could advise us of that, and maybe that will give us a better idea of where gaps might exist that we're not seeing.
Absolutely, I can absolutely do that. And in regards to the Vanek question, I did reply to him yesterday, specifically to him via email explaining that aerodrome will be open and he can use rotorcraft on the apron and part of the taxiway during the closure. This should not affect his business.
That's great.
And the aprons will be open. The airspace will be open. The runway will not be open.
Right.
So that is part of the project, is that the runway and taxiways will not be fully open and able to use, and they will be working 6 days a week, 12 hours a day. So equipment moving on and off, parts of the field. I've had people request the grass strip, and I don't think that will be available because there will be construction equipment in those areas. In most of the areas of the runway and the grass areas between the runway center line and the taxiways on both Alpha and Bravo. So it is a very understandable frustration. I'm not going to deny that.
No, I mean, obviously, this is huge. And if we had control over it, we might be doing it differently. But we don't.
Yes.
And we are very grateful for the financial assistance that is making this possible, obviously. My real concern is I do not see a lack of communication, and I need to know if I'm not seeing this correctly. To me, our advisory committee our staff has been very responsive. Have the answers been what people wanted? No. So what is the difference between people not hearing what they want to hear versus not receiving communication? That's the big question for me.
I will gather all of that information for you and have that.
Great. Thank you.
Any other questions?
While we're on the airport topic, I am curious about following up on the request. I'm guessing we still need to digest that. And there's some financial asks. So speaking more to Guy, that's something we can take a look at and have some information for the next meeting or communicate with the airport tenants that are asking for that information. I think that seems like a fair request.
Sure.
I'd certainly be interested in seeing it as well.
All right, great. Rep Sean, Lignetics update.
Yes, no update. A quick one here. Steve was invited. He's got some inspection today that we're hoping to get a bag house update, but that's not going to happen until the weather starts getting better anyway. So We have our mall foster and Alonji person. Actually, I don't know if you saw, she left and went to Porter Ridgefield. She actually works for them now.
Okay.
Abby Russell.
Yeah.
And she'd been our conduit with folks there. So I have those names of folks that we were going to engage on testing. So we have a couple of emails, but we haven't, no rubbers met the road yet. So we want to wait till the weather turns, then we can actually see some dust so that we can figure out how to collect some samples. See what actually is making its way out to that.
Okay.
And were you in touch with DEQ on that question?
Not yet, no. I do have the right person though.
Oh, good.
That's
helpful.
Yeah.
Down the right floor. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Sean. Moving on here, 2026 committee and organization assignments.
You guys have these in front of you. I was just wanting to make sure that we had things correct, or if you wanted corrections.
For mine, hang on.
3-pager, got to staple it. Sorry for all the paper in this meeting.
The only one I had was Nancy and I had talked about me joining the Scappoose Airport Advisory Committee. And I'd like to do that if Nancy wants to stay on and attend those meetings as well. So something I haven't been as involved with and I'd like to learn more about, especially as we're struggling through some things.
Yep, sounds good. The more the merrier.
Any other concerns or wants, needs?
I'm looking right now. Hang on. Don't show them. We're gonna sign them up. We got a lot of vacancies here. We'll take care of it. Don't worry.
Scratch some things off.
Oh, I guess with my request, Chip has been attending the Scappoose Bay meetings, and I would probably drop off of that one to focus on the airport one. So
that's kind of where I was looking for here. I would potentially sign up for that.
You and Chip on the Scappoose Bay?
I'm looking also at this, no, we don't need to go into detail. We can talk about it after here, but unless you'd like to go into detail now, but this Columbia River Channel Coalition here, I could, if you need somebody to be around for that, I could potentially.
That is now definitely morphed into something different. That was morphed into the Dredge Material Management Plan, 20-year plan group. As the channel had completed, right, with the deepening to 43 feet, that moved into a maintenance group. So
well, that was the only thing I was excited about on this sheet.
But we
took it away. Yes, okay.
There are meetings that Elliot actually does not attend because we're not a sponsor port technically with the channel deepening, but we are a silent partner, if you will. Port of Portland is actually our voice. When this was all stood up way back in when they started the channel deepening project, we didn't have any maritime cargo, any traffic, or much money. So
I'm not going to waste any more. I'll make sure I comb through this if that works. So we're not holding up a meeting for me to gaze at this.
My only question is how come we've got some in yellow and one in red and the rest with nothing? The key there.
Yeah, we were trying to highlight the fact that we were wanting a commissioner on the yellow. The red is, that was going to go away. I'm sorry. That's not the case on that one.
you can add me to the Columbia River. Well, I'm not going to probably attend the meetings, but I can keep in touch with them.
Yeah, and I'm the actual fill-in for the staff on that one too. So
if you just want to have blanks filled in, I'd be happy to be on that.
Yeah, that's I'm close by as well. I could.
We just want to make sure that those were okay, Nancy, the ones that were highlighted, and then get a spot if somebody felt passionate about representing the port of city of Columbia City. Or
I would take the maritime fire safety. And then I think I can handle the Claskina Fire District one.
Makes sense. Thank you.
You can put me down for City of Claskina as well.
Okay.
I'll tag team you on that one.
Yeah. As pertinent items arise. I definitely don't want to go talk about their wastewater treatment plant. I hear about that.
None of us can avoid that.
I learned more this morning. Yeah.
And I think that,
we can go back
Yeah.
and get through that next year in a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'll ask you, I'm going to talk to you about the Squamish River steamship one as well. Okay, on to new business. And we'll certainly follow up with that during our break if we want to have some more people sign up there for those. Fiscal year 27 capital budget priorities. Guy.
Morning, commissioners.
Good morning.
while guys get into position, I will say that I talked about the channel maintenance plan. There's some more information on it right here, this handout here. That the folks, we have a consultant, Heather Stebbings, that used to work for Shaver, used to work for PNWA. Now she's the consultant for the channel maintenance program. So
Steve's wife, yeah.
So she's spearheading that, and that's just a fact sheet on it.
Oh, cool.
And we'll be coordinating with the board.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Ready?
Ready.
I'm ready.
All right, it's that time of year again. We've got our budget season starting up for fiscal year 27. It seems like it just finished up a few months ago, but we're here again. So I'll start out and just say it is about priorities. Budgeting is what we want to prioritize and not prioritize, and why. Why are we discriminating between one thing and another? But this discussion this morning is just a preliminary review or budget process for the fiscal year. And I'll go over our adopted strategic business plan that was done in 24, just on the financial sections, just try to do a real high overview of that, just for a refresher. And I'm also going to be coming back at the next meeting with a 3 to 5 year capital budget plan. So like in the past, we've looked at maybe 1 or 2 years of projects, but the reality is we all know that those projects last multiple years by the time you get permitting and engineering and construction completion, setbacks, those kind of things. So even though we're not spending the money, doesn't mean it's not allocated for something in the future. So I'll talk a little bit more about that next slide. So the goal of the financial plan and the strategic business plan is supporting the financial performance of the port and port business lines through regular monitoring and coordination. So today we'll do the capital major maintenance, then move into the operating budget in April with revenues and expenses and things like that. And then the budget committee will have their meetings in end of April and first part of May. Maybe only one meeting. Sometimes we need two. We schedule two just in case we need 2 meetings. And then in June, the public hearing needs to happen, and we would adopt the budget and then file it with the county before the end of June. So just want your feedback for anything you have today and throughout this whole process. It's important for staff to know where we should be prioritizing our time and resources. So next slide. So again, these are parts of the financial plan. The port owns and manages significant land, buildings, and infrastructure holdings. We all know that, but we're a pretty big operation, so it's a lot to wrap our arms around. And there's operational and capital replacement costs are outpacing operating revenue, and I'll get into more of that in the operating budget part of next month. But it's just important to know that we're not making more money than we're spending, and so we're not able to put much, if anything, into our reserves other than like non-operating income, like interest income on our deposits. So we want to prioritize and leverage funds and use cash strategically with a disciplined approach. So next slide. So there's a couple of strategies within the financial plan, and just briefly going over these. Strategy 1.1 is maintain a financial reserve policy with target guidelines as approved by the port. And I'll go over this later, next slide. And we also want to maintain an operating reserve, ensure that operating revenues will cover project operating and maintenance expenditures in an unforeseen event, not having money, having a cushion there. Next slide.
Actually, you went ahead, Krista. He said next on the next slide before, so you go back.
I'm sorry, I wasn't watching up there. We're on 1.3. Thank you, Sean. We need to look, like I mentioned before, prepare long-term capital projections, prioritizing capital projects based on public need, assess need, government mandates, public safety, tenant and customer needs, and positive cash flow to the port. All right, next slide. Strategy 1.5, continue to develop an ongoing comprehensive financing plan for prudent utilization and leverage of the port's assets and capacity. That's something I would like to spend more time on. And I think it'll kind of come out of that 3 to 5 year projection because it will take into effect multiple sites and business lines and so on. And 1.6 is provide for a diverse and stable stream of operating revenues generated through ongoing investment. So we have to reinvest in what our assets that are currently generating revenue for the future. If we don't do that, we're hamstringing ourselves for future revenue. Next slide. So these next few goals, also in the strategic business plan, relate to the capital improvement plan. You see the strategic business plan, and then there's plans within it. So goal 1, develop and maintain a capital improvement plan that lists projects and gives planning level costs and estimates for capital projects. And at our next budget meeting, I will have a more project specific explanation of the capital projects we're working on. Again, this is a high level conversation. Goal 2, next slide. Promote Port Westward as a prime industrial site capable of supporting energy and bulk commodities, manufacture, transshipment, including rail and barge to ship transfers between inland ports and Pacific Rim destinations. So next slide. Goal 3 is to maintain Scappoose Airport and Scappoose Bay Marina as key assets to meet market demand and improve revenue streams.
Can I ask you a question on that? You said you have a tentative capital improvement plan now. Is anything on that plan to build some hangars where we demoed the ones next to Transwestern there? Because it looks to me like we got that cleaned up and ready to go and we haven't done anything. So
Yes, we're thinking of some new hangars, but in the design and engineering permitting phase, not actually construction in FY 27. But yeah, and I don't.
You and we can prioritize it when we get to.
I don't know exact location and all that, but yes, because that will be an opportunity for new revenue generation. That answer your question?
Just every year 20 some years I've been on the port, they've said what an no, they just say that the airport rents well and it's easy to finance. So I was looking at the goal 1.3 and 1.5. It said positive cash flow for the port, but for those things that are even neutral cash flow, when they're easy to finance, if it's a revolving port loan fund or whatever, if we can knock one of those out, do some economic development, then
and we'll do
moves it up the list for me.
We'll do an analysis and see kind of what rate of return, makes sense on the investment. And, so that we're going to with our eyes wide open. We don't want to build something too expensive.
And I don't know if it's still true that demand is up out there. That's even no better than anybody probably. But
sounds like we have a waiting list.
Have a waiting.
That's what I've always been told. So thank you.
Any other questions? Next slide. Goal 4 is modernize and continue to develop existing port assets that lead to economic resiliency and the port's capacity to carry out its mission to economic development. There's kind of a lot encapsulated in that, but resiliency is a pretty broadly defined term, but we want to be looking towards the future and trying to strengthen our position and mitigate any risk. Look at opportunities that are good for the future of the port and the community. So, all right, next slide. All right, and talk a little bit more about our financial reserves, and I'm sure all of you are aware from last year, I don't need to go into a lot of detail, but we have operating reserve, strategic reserve, and then we also want to look at managing liquidity. A strategic reserve is for planned projects. So when we think about capital projects or any kind of major maintenance projects, those are planned. If unplanned is an operating reserve that if there's something that's totally unforeseen that happens and we're short on cash, we don't want to be
Like of a tugboat. Our dock.
Yeah, and it may be temporary, it may be longer term, but it's a cushion to mitigate our exposure to a downturn in business activity. So and then liquidity is also important, just like the runway project this summer. It's over $4 million. We're going to have to pay that out and then submit to FAA for reimbursement. So there'll be a 30 to 60, maybe even longer lag there. And we need to have the cash on hand to be doing some of these larger projects. So that's important to have. I've been at another port where we didn't have enough to do that. We had to actually borrow money from the county to be able to bridge the gap between paying the contractor and getting the grant funding. So important to maintain that liquidity. Next slide. So this is just, again, a high level recap of our LGIP account balances as of the end of February. The total of 16.6 million between all of the accounts, and it's us in a good position, but we have to be careful. They say the best time to save money is when you have money. So, it's kind of like we need to make sure we're wise on how we allocate these funds. So the general fund has 11.3 million. The Pope and Talbot insurance funds are at 2.5 million. Port Westward Reserve, 2.3 million. And our property tax fund, we're tracking that separately. That currently has 481,000.
That's the tenant pass through one.
No, that's our the port tax.
Oh, we're tracking. Okay, that's the levy. Yeah.
Any questions on this? All right, next slide. So on our operating reserve, our standard way to do this is to look at approximately 6 months of our annual operating expenses. And our last year, our annual operating expenses were about $6 million. So we're looking at a range of 2.75 to 3.75 million. I like to give a range because it's, you have to have a little flex throughout the year with various things happening, but and I'll come back to this in a slide when we put all the reserves together, but just that's how we calculated the operating reserve. Next slide. On the strategic reserve, we're recommending 8.7 to 10.2 million, and that's in total. But when we break out per fund, this is how much we'd want in each fund that's allocated towards the strategic reserve. So Port Westward, it's designated to Port Westward projects, so that's 2.3 million. The Pope and Talbot insurance funds, we're planning on spending some of that in our capital projects, so that went from 2.5 to 1.85 million. Planning on the property tax collection for next year to come up to 975,000. I'll talk about that a little more in the next slide. And then the general fund is 3.5 to 5 million. So any questions?
I'll give you the next slide and see if it answers.
All right, I could tell. So, okay, next slide. I think you went one too far.
Yeah.
Okay.
Capital major.
So this is what we're proposing for the capital and major maintenance budget. And again, I haven't broken these projects out. I'll do that next meeting, but just these are round numbers on where the funds would come from. We'd take, the total would be 3.1 to 3.3 million. And out of that, 1.35 million would come out of the general fund, 1.1 million out of the Port Westward fund, and 650,000 out of Pope and Talbot for that 3.1 to 3.3 million. Am I okay to go to the next slide, Robert? All right.
This is the one I want to hear about.
All right. So, yeah, for the fiscal year 27 the tax reserve fund, we're looking to prioritize that for matching funds on strategic grants to leverage the public funds to provide a high impact. So we really want to use the taxpayer funds to generate, like, to really make an impact in the community for businesses, and be able to tell us a good story about how we're using those public funds. And so we'll talk more specifics about projects and things as we work out that 3 to 5 year plan. And it is hard to sometimes see money sitting in an account and not being used immediately. But at the same time, when we're looking at moving the needle longer term, having those funds there for 2 to 3 years out or something like that is, something I would really recommend considering.
Some of these projects with the matches are going to be pretty large.
Yes.
But also, you guys, as we talked, you have the ability to say, let's spend some of that money on revenue generation, build some T hangers. Call.
Well, that's what I'm thinking about. I like this approach. I agree. Just pedal it out each year.
But we probably finance that anyway, right? The T hangers, so wouldn't dent that too much.
So where did the 950 figure come from?
2 years worth?
Yeah.
2 years.
Which is putting the cart a little before the horse, we understand, but we're casting right now.
It's planning, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So that's pretty, it's fast.
Yeah,
I guess the budget committee could kill it, but
yeah,
950 is probably a little on the low end, right? That's conservative.
I'm a little conservative.
Okay, yeah, because it was 480 this last year.
It was over 500, but then when you get the discount, when people pay with the discount, we actually get less. So.
Well, plus the value of homes last year went down.
Yeah.
So if it goes down again, yeah, so it's not.
For the most part, homes are, the property tax value lags the actual value. So I would assume they're still the property tax value will increase by 3%, whatever they.
Because there's a turnovers of houses. Then it goes up.
kind of a side point, but I think it could be significant. I'm a little concerned. I talked with BGE, if they're going to decommission those tanks this year. And I don't know what they're on the tax roll at. They could be on and be depreciated out to nothing, or it could be $40 million easily. So, and if they decommission them, they'll apply for the refund, which would come out of this year's instead of.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah.
Is that kind of like the paper?
Yeah, exactly like that. Yeah. We've seen it in the phone company did it last year too, but EG is supposed to be the government affairs lady was supposed to be trying to find us the answer for that, but I haven't heard back. So.
Thank you.
It could be a big devaluation this year.
Good information. Yeah. Wasn't aware of that. So. Any other questions here? All right, next slide. I got a little color in here for you. So this is just a visual depiction of the reserve. So 9.5 would be on the strategic reserve. But I would like to mention that will come down to 7.7 of actual general fund money, because the 1.85 is in Pope and Talbot, and which is restricted on an insurance for that site. So you have a little under 8 million, like 7.7 million of general fund strategic reserves. And then the operating reserve is 3.3 million. That's for unforeseen events. Like I mentioned, the capital budget would be 3.1 million. That's the green area. And then the property tax is the very end, but kind of the yellowish area, 950,000. So any questions there? Well, that's really about all I have. Chris, so you can go to the next slide if you want, but there's more to come. I know this was pretty high level, but I don't know. Hopefully it was helpful to kind of have a prep for what's coming. So
Get us ready, get ready to get ready.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
yeah, thank you.
Hey. Next up, a resolution 2026-12, airport runway rehab, Lacey.
Hello again. So the port has received both federal and state funding for the runway rehabilitation in September of 25. We executed a $3.8 million agreement with the FAA to fund the runway rehabilitation to meet the required match. ODAV has awarded the port a Critical Oregon Aviation Relief, or CORE, grant in the amount of $147,200. These CORE funds serve as the matching dollars for the agreement, allowing the port to leverage funding and move forward, obviously, with the construction. Formal grant agreement with ODAV must be executed before the funds can be accessed. So my recommendation is to authorize the executive director to execute ODAV core grant agreement in the amount of $147,200. Sorry.
So approved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Carries. Thank you. All right, next up, resolution 2026-13, Elliott.
Morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
If approved, Resolution 2026-13 will authorize the Executive Director to execute an operating agreement between the Port and the P&W Railroad. Negotiating this agreement has been a long process that began several years ago when the P&W approached us after they realized there was no formal agreement covering their use of the Port lead. Eventually, we settled upon an operating rights agreement along the lines of what you received in today's packet. This agreement formalizes P&W's use of the Port lead, which they use to deliver and receive rail cars to tenants at Port Westward. Slide. Here's a depiction of the Port lead. It starts at the switch that takes the rail cars from the P&W's main line, which you can see at just a small corner section of it, the small corner there. The P&W line runs from Portland past Port Westward to Wana. The Port lead runs about 1 mile from that switch at the P&W's main line and continues to the switch, splitting the line between Beaver Spur that runs to the Beaver plant and the Cascade Spur to the north. So basically, we're talking about the distance and section of track between the arrow at the bottom and the arrow at the top.
Yeah, the lead doesn't go out in the Bradbury Slough like that. It's just, that's the arrows.
This agreement details the port and the railroad's responsibilities for maintenance and in the event of an accident, such as the clearing of wrecks. The port is responsible for accidents caused by defects or maintenance issues involving the port lead. The railroad is responsible for operational or equipment-related incidents. It also requires that the P&W provide the port with an insurance policy, naming the port as an additional insured on a rail liability policy with a minimum of $20 million per incident and $40 million in aggregate. I want to note that except for the insurance provisions, the operating agreement is consistent with how the lead has been managed in the past. And staff recommends that Resolution 2026-13 be approved. Close the slide. Do you have any questions?
Move approval.
Second.
All favor?
Aye.
Thank you all very much.
Elliot, has the P and W given up on the line past Wana then?
Sorry.
Does the P and W officially say that the line ends at Wana?
You know, I haven't asked them or talked to them about that for quite some time. But when I did last do that, God, I may have been a couple of years ago, they didn't have any plans for restoring it.
It's trash down there. Like it was.
The Brownsville was covered, but technically it's supposed to go to Astoria.
Yeah, it's
Point.
It's bad. Yeah.
You got enough problems with other rail lines all around the state.
Yeah, they do.
And they would have to,
The rivers.
they would need, demand to justify it, I presume.
That whole Bradwood Clifton line from there, that way past, it's a mile past Wana is destroyed. I don't know what, it would be millions and millions.
That's a huge impact on that Tongue Point piece because that's the whole plan was rail.
Yep.
Thanks.
Thank you, Elliot.
Very much.
You're up, Sean.
Oh, thank you. All right, here we go. Good morning. You've seen my report here with the calendar. I had talked to several of you about getting the first things first. For a second meeting on the fourth Wednesday for the 25th in the morning. Sounds like we're all good for that. This is no one's surprise. I'm sure we'll have some port business, but also we'll have, if it works out, have Jim Knight from Special Districts Association come and do the board practical assessment.
Right.
The plan was they wanted to make sure we had full attendance for that, just to make it effective. So that sounds like it's going to work out. Had to have that happen. And let's see, there's I have some stuff cooking this week. We're going to have some enterprise zone sponsor interim management discussions with CET leftover Paul and Tony and the South County Collab team that is now the Columbia County Coalition. You see the name change there. We thought we'd be more inclusive to get Rainier and potentially Vernonia should they choose to, and Classic and I involved in some of those discussions. That's a group that has met regularly for, well before my time, with non-elected staff level, typically higher up folks that are coordinating to make sure that we're not talking past each other on things. And it's been a really good group.
How you say
He'll for the enterprise zone discussion Friday.
Right. Talk to him in range.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll call him or what we can.
Yeah, he was kind of the driver of that.
Yeah. Any questions on the schedule? One thing I wanted to point out too, on the 11th, the Army Corps Portland District is, that was when our meeting was supposed to be, is having a levy sponsorship meeting, which Elliot, I think, has another event, so he wasn't gonna be able to make, but I will now be able to make that because that's a big deal. I think they're trying to coordinate on, okay, here's the need nationwide, and then more specifically Portland District. Hopefully, is there a way that they can, it's hard to say the Corps is going to help come up with some funding to work on some of these levies to get them certified, but get us at least a plan because we're all in a similar place except for, the big one in Portland and Scappoose is close or if not already certified. But all these smaller ones down there trying to figure out how to get enough money together to do some of the things they have to do for the Corps inspections that have been done. So that'll be really interesting. And hopefully they have some help for us. I will attend the Oregon Entrepreneurial Network Innovation Hub launch next week. Support that a little bit. Next week, Representative Bonamici will have the town hall and Commissioner Ward is going to attend the electeds group at 5:30. And then the full bill for everybody is at 6 in the Scappoose High School auditorium. I got the Rainier Chamber of Commerce annual breakfast coming up next week as well. And afterwards, we're going to meet with Mike Sykes and Scott Jorgensen, Brian and I, and talk about some property down in West Rainier that they're, another opportunity for us to buy some property, which
we've been pitched that many times.
One more time.
This may have a different angle on it. So that's why I'm actually going to spend the time and have Brian join me. So I'm going to take 13th off and hopefully do something good luck on that day. And then coming up, the Beaver Drainage Improvement Company Annual Landowner Board Meeting, which is going to be significant because, pardon? They are going to be considering at least the bylaws change. And then it sounds like they may get a committee together to look at that a little closer. We'll definitely try to be involved in any of those as we have sent over our draft changes implementing some of the things that they wanted over time and then some ideas on expanding the board. So they have that document and they're going to stand up a committee and then talk about it. So we'll be engaged with that as well.
I'd like to go to that.
It sounds like they're targeting stand up committee next meeting, and then targeting getting it to where they can get it voted on and adopted in bylaws, I should say, following years.
2027. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to go to that meeting.
Okay. Let's see, anything else on there? We got the history talk from port to runway at the Red Barn on the 19th at 5. Thanks for working with the Scappoose Historical Society on that. We will definitely be presenting at that and invite you all to come and check it out. And yeah, the commission work session, town meeting this coming Saturday in Scappoose, if you can make it. And we got the upcoming mission to Washington, April 20 to 23rd.
We have a time on that BDIC?
Also, thank you. I'm sorry, what was the question, Robert?
Is there a time on that BDIC meeting? I'm gonna guess evening.
5 o'clock, yeah.
Yeah.
So community giving, we have received some applications. One of them is from Hope. So I think, Brian, you talked about being on that committee. You might have to recuse yourself for that. I will. Yeah. Somebody else, we have one other recusal, Main Street Alliance, that's an application. Bob Salisbury's wife, Erin, is now the executive director in a paid role. She was a volunteer board position before. Now she's the executive director. So he would not be able to be a part of that group internally reviewing those applications. But so we'd like to have a replacement for Brian if one of you are interested. And I think it was Brian and Nancy. Were you the two that were? Yeah, Brian and Nancy agreed to review those applications. So for at least for this round, if somebody else wants to fill in for Brian, look at those.
How often are we receiving applications?
Oh, it's crazy. Okay.
Yeah, we have some and it's closed now, so we just have to review it to announce it at the next.
I can do that. Just let me know.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we'll deal with the staff one on our own. Yeah, some good projects, good applications.
How many applications did we receive?
5 total.
Oh, good.
We should be able
Good
to
outreach.
five, right? If it was over 5, I was out. Yeah.
Someone's gonna be mad. And that concludes my report, unless you have some questions.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Any questions for Sean? Okay, commissioner reports. We'll start at your end, Brian.
I don't think I have anything to add. Really appreciate the reports as usual. It was nice to discuss what everybody's doing and hear about some of the stuff at the Marina. So thank you for that. Nice to be able to review them before.
Robert?
Just appreciate Elliot's help and working on the draft response to the rezone appeal on the last issue there. I don't know how to say that better, but anyway, though.
It's hard to say.
Yeah. County consultant put out a report that needs a lot of help, so we get it looking a little better.
Thank you. Yep.
Yeah, I attended the Marina meeting last night and beyond that, but that's about it.
Okay, thank you.
I think I want to thank Lindsay for inviting me to meet with Les at the Historical Society. I was absolutely blown away by the amount of information that is available to us regarding the airport. It never occurred to me that there was so much history that has been saved. And I think our presentation is going to be really, really interesting. And I can't wait to see what you put together. So, yeah.
Coming with me.
Yeah, it was great. It was really great. I like I said, it came as a big surprise. And that's about it.
Thank you, Nancy. Appreciate everyone's slides. You're very informative. Guy, loved it. I liked how you used a crayon type graph on that instead of a pie on the last one. I dig that. Way to mix it up. I need it. Thank you. Thank you. No, it's really great that we pieced all that together so we can actually have visual on it because it is a lot to take in. So thank you very much. Lacey, thanks for all your hard work. You as well, Elliot. So and everybody else I didn't mention. Yeah, that's kind of all I have.
Okay. You guys ready for me to read the script?
Do it.
To read it today.
Board of Columbia County will now go into executive session under ORS 192.6602I to review and evaluate the employment-related performance of the Port Executive Director. Members of the news media, there's no one online or in here, are invited to attend but may not report on issues discussed during the executive session. The commission will return to regular session at the end of the executive session where no decisions will be made. Thank you.
That's pretty good. 5 minutes. That's pretty good for the first run through. That's
I'm
good.
sure Bob has.
Bob's gonna get. We're good?
Yep.
We're good? Meeting adjourned.
Not too bad.